Anybody involved in law enforcement, you have no idea how respected you are. You don't get the honest facts from the press, but you don't know how respected you are. So I just want to say that up front. I'm honored to welcome the National Sheriff's Association. Your leadership is here, and I know the great job you do. I've known you and followed you for a long period of time. Your efforts and your officers are outstanding. I know so many sheriffs from my area, some in particular, and they're great friends and great people. I just want to let you know that our job is to help you in law enforcement, and we're going to help you do your job. We're going to expand access to abuse-deterring drugs, which a lot of you have been talking about. They're out, and they're very hard to get. Stop the opioid epidemic. We've got to do it. It's a new thing, and honestly, people aren't talking about it enough. It's a new thing, and it's a new problem for you folks. It's probably a vast majority of your crimes, or at least a very big portion of your crimes, are caused by drugs. We're going to stop the border. We're going to stop. We're not going to have the drugs pour in from the border like they have been. We will work with you on supporting your long-standing efforts to strengthen the bonds between the communities and the police, which is very important. It is sort of a new phenomena to a certain extent, and it's happening more and more, and some great results are when you can strengthen the bonds. We're committed to securing our borders to reduce crime, illegal drugs, human trafficking, especially in border counties. We have a lot of the border counties represented. We're also committed to working with law enforcement to stop terrorist attacks. You've been reading about that and seeing about that. They want to take a lot of our powers away. Some people with a lot of the wrong intentions. And we've got a lot of bad people out there. And Dana, I just want to thank you on behalf of the government, on behalf of our country, for leading a strong, strong effort in the courts. And we really appreciate it, believe me. Because as you know, we don't have an attorney general. We have somebody who's phenomenal, Jeff Sessions. He's going to be there hopefully soon. But I believe it's about a record for the length of time that they've delayed the cabinet. These are cabinet members that are phenomenal people, and we haven't had representation, and now we have excellent representation, fortunately, in Dana, and Jeff will be with you very shortly, hopefully. But we're having a hard time getting approvals, and it's only a delay tactic. It's all politics. One person came up to me, a senator, Democratic senator, came up to me the other day and said, Jeff Sessions is a fantastic man. He's fabulous. He's a friend of mine. He's a great, great man and a great talent, and we're lucky to have him. I said, oh, great. I guess that means you're voting for him. No, I won't be doing that. He said, politics doesn't allow me to do that. I thought it was a disgrace. If the press talks loud and hard enough, I'll have to tell you who said that to me. You don't want to hear. You don't want to hear who said that. I'm shocked. I didn't think you'd care. I didn't think you'd care. But I'll probably tell you, actually. But anyway. So we're going to be very tough on crime. We're going to be very tough on the drugs pouring in, and that's a big part of the crime. We're going to be very strong at the border. We have no choice. And we're going to be building a wall. We're starting very soon. General Kelly will be working with a lot of you, and he's fantastic. He was one got approved very quickly, along with General Mattis. He's very, very outstanding. And I very much appreciate that you're here today. And Sheriff, I really thank you for leading the effort. Your reputation's fantastic, and it's a great honor to know you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe we can go around. We'll let the press stay for a little while, unless you'd rather leave. Would the press rather stay? You know, just so you understand, it's a new phenomenon. You're on live television all over the world right now, so don't get nervous when you speak, okay? But I don't think these things have ever taken place before, but you are on live television, so if you don't want to say anything, you don't have to. But if you do, I think it's a good thing to say. So maybe we'll just go around the room.
Well, Mr. President, thank you so much for having us here. I'm Sheriff Carolyn Welsh from Chester County, Pennsylvania, and proud to say Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth that put you over the top, November 8th. Very proud of that. We don't stop bragging about that.
You were great support.
Thank you. And I just want to thank you for, during the campaign and since the campaign, being such a strong courageous supporter of law enforcement on the federal level with the Border Patrol, on the state level, in the counties, municipalities, boroughs, and particularly with the elected sheriff of the counties, because we are the sheriff, we are the people's representative, and we are elected by the people, and we greatly appreciate your strong and continued support.
Thank you, Carolyn. There's a new sheriff in town. I
That's
hear
right.
there's so much data. They always use there's a new sheriff in town. So anyway,
Sheriff Harold Evanson, Rockwall County, Texas. We appreciate your support very much. Our county's probably about 85% Republican.
right.
So it was pretty easy for
They
you
were
in our
very
county.
nice. I agree. They were very
And
nice.
being in a border state, I have been to the border in Texas any number of times, been to the border in Arizona. I clearly understand the problem we have. And previously, when we go to the border and hear what the ranchers and sheriffs have to say, those border sheriffs and border ranchers, it was 180 degrees from what we heard from the previous administration. And
You're
we're
seeing
very,
a big difference.
we're very proud to have you as president.
And that's only 2 weeks, okay? It's, a very short period of time. I'm hearing it from a lot of people. People are calling in, and people I know that are in the area, they're saying it's like day and night. Because we're not playing games. We're not playing games. We're stopping the drugs from pouring into our country and poisoning our youth. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Mr. President, I'm Jonathan Thompson. I'm the Executive Director and CEO of the National Sheriff's Association. Let me tell you the difference of 6 months. I sat in this room, in this chair, and I was pleading, I was begging for help. Today, you invited us here to your home. You're offering help. You're delivering on that offer. And on behalf of our members across the country, thank you.
Thank you very much. It's so nice. I appreciate that.
You bet.
Mr. President, Rich Stanek, Hennepin County, Minneapolis, Minnesota. First off, thank you very much. As Ms. Conway said, next time up by 3 points in my state. Put it over the top.
Well, we
Secondly,
almost won your state. You know, we weren't supposed to do very well in your state, and we lost by 1 point. I say if I went there one more visit, we would have won. We would have won Minnesota, but it was very close.
Maybe
Very
many of
close.
us have you back, Mr. President.
Thank you, I
And I
know.
just want to say that, you hit on two topics that are near and dear to my heart. The first is opioids, right?
Right.
I had 144 people that died last year as a result of opioid overdose. 31% increase over the year before. We need help. 80+% of those drugs come from south of the border. Everybody knows it. I know you will do something about that.
I will. It's already being done. Believe me, it's a big, big difference, and we will do that. And you do have a big problem. You have a big problem with the refugees pouring in, don't you?
Yes, we do, sir. And all we're asking is what you're doing, which is let the courts decide, do what we've been doing. The rule of law is strong, and the proper vetting of individuals is really important to us.
Well, the vetting is much, much tougher now, and we need this court case. It would be very helpful to keeping the wrong people out of our country. You understand that better than anybody. So
I do,
I
sir.
think we're going to have some good results. It may take a little while. And, this is a very dangerous period of time because while everybody's talking and dealing, a lot of bad people are thinking about, hey, let's go in right now. But we're being very, very tough with the vetting, tougher than ever before. So,
Sir, I chair the Homeland Security Committee for the National Sheriff's Association. We heard from General Kelly yesterday. His message was right on the mark
Right.
about this, carrying out your directives, and we appreciate that.
that used to be a political position, what General Kelly's doing right now. Homeland Security, if you remember, it's like a political position. Not anymore. Now it's, in my opinion, one of my truly most important positions. So he's doing a great job. Thank you very much, Sheriff.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. President, thank you. It's such an honor to be here. I'm Danny Glick, Sheriff, Laramie County, Wyoming. There's so many issues that you'll hear going around this table. One of the ones that probably people don't realize is EPA decisions that have affected our coal industry, our oil industry in the West. But beyond that, it increases the number of people that are jobless and thus increases our crime statistics. And it's starting to overwhelm us. We're very small out there for the most part, and we don't have the numbers of deputies, officers, and law enforcement that can sometimes keep up with this. I appreciate what you've done and what you're planning in the future. I think it was very well publicized, and I just appreciate being here today.
Thank you, Sheriff. And I will tell you that the EPA, you're right. I call it's clogged the bloodstream of our country. People can't do anything. People are looking to get approvals for factories for 15 years. And then after the 15th year, they get voted down after having spent a fortune. So that's going to end. we have one of our really great people, as you know, Scott, is looking to be approved by the Senate. We're still waiting for that one too. It's a disgrace what's going on. But as soon as he gets involved, we're going to unclog the system. And by the way, people are going to get rejected, but they're going to get rejected quickly. But for the most part, they're going to be accepted when they want to do it. We're going to bring the jobs back. And your state was very, very good to me, as you know. I mean, they were very, very good to me, and I appreciate that. And just tell the people we're going to get the system unclogged, and we're going to get it up. As you know, I approved 2 pipelines that were stuck in limbo forever. I don't even think it was controversial. You know, I approved them. I haven't had one call from anybody saying, oh, that was a terrible thing you did. I haven't had one call. You know, usually if I do something, it's like bedlam, right? I haven't had one call from anybody. And, you know, we've got a lot of jobs. In the Keystone case, we have potentially 32,000 jobs almost immediately. And then, as you know, I did the Dakota pipeline. And nobody called up to complain because it was unfair. Years of getting approvals. Nobody showed up to fight it. This company spends tremendous hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, and then all of a sudden people show up to fight it. It's not fair to our companies, and I think everyone's going to be happy in the end, okay? So I appreciate it very much, Sheriff. Great honor to have you here. Thank you, and say hello to the people.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Mr. President. I'm John Layton, Sheriff of Marion County, Indiana, which is...
You never met our great vice president.
I'm very proud of this man. And we as sheriff, this is, to me, it seems like it's unprecedented. I look back into the history of the NSA long before myself, and I could never find where not only the president, but now the vice president as well, has invited us into your house to share some concerns of ours.
And in about 10 minutes, you're going to see the Oval Office too, that's the other thing. You know, people have had meetings here. I had the car companies, the biggest companies, Ford, General Motors, Fiat, and they were in this room often. I said, oh, so you've seen the Oval Office? No, we've never been invited to see the Oval Office. You know where the Oval Office is? 10 feet in that direction, 10 feet.
Looking forward to it.
And you know what, when they said these are the biggest people, no, we're going there. These are the biggest people. So they were never invited to the Oval Office, and they're only 10 feet away. You would think they would be invited, but you're going to see the Oval Office,
Thank you
okay?
very much, Mr. President. One of the main concerns with not just my office of sheriff, but across the nation is mentally ill in the jails. And the people that are being, really, for lack of a better term, warehoused in our jails across America because we don't have the facilities necessary to take care of them on the outside. And it ends up a lot of these people go to jail because the public or the police officer happens to be mad at them at the time instead of they need to be in the jail.
Right.
For very good reason. So we just appreciate you having the back of law enforcement. We do all feel that, as anyone with a badge knows, that you do have our backs, and that we're looking forward to years of harmony and taking care of business for the people we serve.
I appreciate it. And I will say that in the recent election, law enforcement is with me. I mean, the numbers were staggering. Staggering. It wasn't like, gee, it's 51-49. Believe me, it was through the roof. Law enforcement and military also.
Absolutely.
I think generally people in uniform tend to like me. Explain that to me. Dana, explain that to me. I don't. So, Sheriff, thank you very much.
Thank you,
And I do miss your former governor.
We do.
But you have a good new governor.
Governor Holcomb is
Right.
holding down the fort for us now.
Well,
Big shoes for him to fill.
Mike Pence has been fantastic.
Yes, he has.
Dana, I want to thank you for your service. Amazing the way you just stepped into the breach and have done such a good job. Let's see what happens with the court case.
Mr. President, thank you for the privilege to serve you in the Department of Justice and the American people. I'm very, very honored by it. And I want to thank all the sheriffs here, but I guess our local and state partners, it's very important to federal law enforcement and all the agencies. And I know that Senator Sessions, and we're looking forward to him getting to the department, will make that an important priority, and he wants to strengthen that bond that we have with them because it's very, very important to law enforcement.
Yes, well, thank you very much. And you know, one of the things that you know better than anybody is that we had a very good victory in Boston. So I said to everybody, why don't we use the Boston case? Why aren't we using the Boston case? Because the Boston victory was great, but it's statutorily and some difficulties.
Judge Gorton, who wrote that decision, had a very good analysis where he referred to immigration law, and I thought it was a terrific opinion.
Yeah.
And I think it's the right opinion.
And a highly respected judge, too, so I appreciate it. Thank you, Dana, very much. Appreciate it.
Mr. President, I'm Sheriff Page from Rockingham County, North Carolina. You do very well in North Carolina. And
North Carolina?
And I just want to say that we appreciate you being where you're at. The first responsibility of government is protecting its people. As elected by the people, and you're elected by the people, we got that. When you say there's a new sheriff in town, we relate to that. You're about the rule of law. We haven't seen that in many years, and we appreciate that. And I'll tell you something, when General Kelly was speaking yesterday for the sheriffs, he was telling us about, I saw something that I haven't seen before. He went to the border, he looked at the assets, and he asked the law enforcement down there, what's going on and what can we do to help fix this situation down here? So you've got a good team, you're putting together a good team, you've got support of sheriffs from across the country, and we appreciate what you're doing.
Well, thank you. And a funny story, so when General Kelly was just sworn in, now Secretary Kelly, and I said, do you want to have dinner tonight and we'll talk? Sir, I'm heading to the border. I said, I like that better. We don't need dinner. He said, I like that better. So he's right on the ball. He's going to be fantastic. Just everybody says the same thing. Thank you. That's very nice. I'll tell him.
Good morning, Mr. President. Dave Mahoney. I'm the sheriff in Dane County, which is Madison, Wisconsin. I want to thank you for inviting our nation's sheriffs into the White House. You know, as the only elected law enforcement leaders in our community, we are the most engaged in our community issues and concerns. And I think it's important. I think there's a strong message when the President of the United States invites our nation's sheriffs in to talk about those issues that are of importance in our community.
Has this ever happened before with the sheriffs?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Never happened.
Never, no, sir.
And yet the murder rate in our country is the highest it's been in 47 years, right? Did you know that? 47 years. I used to use that. I'd say that in a speech and everybody was surprised because the press doesn't tell it like it is. It wasn't to their advantage to say that. But the murder rate is the highest it's been in, I guess, from 45 to 47 years. And you would think that you would be invited here and you would think that you people would be able to solve, if you ran Chicago, you would solve that nightmare. I'll tell you, I'll bet everybody in the room, especially Carolyn, right, would raise their hand because to allow, I mean, literally hundreds of shootings a month. It's worse than some of the places that we read about in the Middle East where you have wars going on. It's so sad. Chicago's become so sad a situation. But go ahead.
I'm only 3 hours from downtown Chicago. As Sheriff Stanek mentioned, you know, the issues of heroin and opiate addiction, I'm averaging 12 to 15 overdoses a week in my community. And we need help from DEA, FBI, and our task forces. We need them to be adequately funded and led by leaders who want to work collectively with our nation's sheriffs.
How much of your crime is caused, you think, by drugs generally?
80%.
80%.
80%.
So without drugs, you would have a whole different ballgame.
I have a jail over 1,000 beds. 80% suffer from chronic.
And when
drug
did
and
it
alcohol
really
addiction.
start big league, or has it been going on for many years?
Well, I think heroin and opiates have overshadowed cocaine, which of course has been, you know, since the 80s our #1 drug of choice. Now it's prescription painkillers and
And at a much higher level?
at a higher level.
Much higher.
The overdoses are at a much higher level.
Mr. President,
You know,
I hate
and-
to interrupt. It used to take 90 days to take a load of heroin from the border to get it into the economics mainstream. Now it's taking 14 days.
Okay, well, we'll have it take infinity, okay?
And beyond.
I want to thank you too for seeking the input and guidance of our nation's sheriffs on issues like immigration. You know, my community is looking for immigration reform, an expedited way for a good immigrant to obtain citizenship in this great country. And I appreciate the invitation today to join you and look forward to working with you on many of these issues. Some we'll disagree on, but far more we're going to agree on.
Absolutely, you're right. I actually can't believe that we're having to fight to protect the security, in a court system, to protect the security of our nation. I can't even believe it. And a lot of people agree with us, believe me. There's a group of people out there, and I mean much more than half of our country, much, much more. You're not allowed to use the term silent majority anymore, you know. You're not allowed because they make that into a whole big deal. But there's a group of people out there, massive, massive numbers, far bigger than what you see protesting. And if those people ever protested, you would see a real protest. But they want to see our borders secure and our country secure. And they want to see people that can love our country come in, not people that are looking to destroy our country. So anyway, thank you, Sheriff.
Sheriff John Aubrey, fifth term sheriff, Jefferson County, Kentucky, Louisville, past president of the National Sheriff's Association. And my fellow sheriffs have brought up a number of points, and I'd like to add two to it that I know are on your plate and the administration's plate. The 1033 program, where we were sharing Department of Defense surplus material that helps us in our war. They were used in a war and they helped us in our war. That got severely curtailed. And the other thing is asset forfeiture. People want to say we're taking money and without due process. That's not true. You know, we take money from dope dealers.
So you're saying, okay, so you're saying the asset taking you used to do and it had an impact, right? And you're not allowed to do it now?
No, they have curtailed it a little bit. And I'm sure the folks are,
And that's for legal reasons or just political reasons?
they make it political and they make it, they make up stories.
Well,
all you gotta do-
I'd like to look into that, okay? There's no reason for that, okay? Danny, do you think there's any reason for that? Are you aware of this?
I'm aware of that, Mr. President, and we have gotten a great deal of criticism for the asset forfeiture, which, as the sheriff said, is frequently was taking narcotics proceeds and other proceeds of crime, but there has been a lot of pressure on the department to curtail some of that.
So what do you do? So in other words, they have a huge stash of drugs. So in the old days, you take it. Now we're criticized if we take it. So who gets it? What happens to it?
Well, we
Tell them
have
to keep it?
we have what is called equitable sharing, where we usually share it with the local police departments for whatever portion that they worked on the case, and it was a very successful program, very popular with the law enforcement community.
And now what happens?
Well, now we've just been given there's been a lot of pressure not to forfeit in some cases.
Who would want that pressure, you know? I mean, other than like bad people, right? But who would want that pressure? You would think they'd want
I guess
this stuff taken away.
you have to be careful how you speak, I guess, but a lot of pressure's coming out of was coming out of Congress. I don't know if that'll continue now or not.
I think less so. I think Congress is going to get beat up really badly by the voters because they've let this happen. And I think badly. I think you'll be back in shape. So asset forfeiture, we're going to go back on, okay?
Thank you, sir.
I mean, how simple can anything be? You all agree with that, I assume, right? Absolutely. Do you even understand the other side of it?
No.
It's like some
No
things,
sense.
sort of like the Iran deal. Nobody even understands how a thing like that could have happened. It does nothing.
You're allowed to profit from the illegal proceeds, right?
Okay.
So if you're gonna sell narcotics and sell illegal drugs in our country, you also cannot profit from that. And so we seize those profits.
So do we need any legislation or any executive orders for that, would you say, Dana? To put that back in business?
I don't think we need any executive orders. We just need kind of some encouragement
Okay.
to move in that direction.
Good. You're encouraged. I love that answer because that's better than signing executive orders and then these people take it and they make it look so terrible. Oh, it's so terrible. I love it. You're encouraged, okay? Good. Asset forfeiture, you're encouraged. Okay. Yes, sir.
Mr. President, we appreciate you having us here today at the White House. My name is John Curry-Biddick, and I'm the sheriff in Monroe County, Georgia. I'm a past president with the National Sheriff's Association as well, and I currently chair our Governmental Affairs Committee. And I just want to thank you for the administration working actually on pieces of legislation and on political ideas with us. It's refreshing, and we are thoroughly enjoying it. We are currently working with Senator Grassley on some criminal justice reform issues, and the administration has been supporting us, and
Yes.
the asset forfeiture is a big thing.
Okay, go for it.
And
Just go for it.
I think the
Dana will
department-
tell me if I can't do it, then we'll start doing it.
Yes, sir, I think they got that message. But,
Okay, that's great.
But
Sounds-
we appreciate it. We appreciate your ear, and we appreciate you taking the time to sit down and at least talk to us.
Yeah, I appreciate it too. Thank you, John.
Thanks for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Vice
Greg.
President. Greg Champagne, I am the sheriff in St. Charles Parish, Louisiana, basically a suburban community outside of New Orleans. I have the honor of representing 3,088 sheriffs around the country, and you see the leadership of our organization. These are the leadership of the past presidents and the future presidents of our agency. But more importantly than that, we all represent and oversee literally a few 100,000 deputy sheriffs who are truly the backbone of law enforcement in this country. We have a bumper sticker the NSA puts out that says, "Sheriffs and deputies, the original Homeland Security." And so that is a force multiplier. Those men and women out there are the tip of the spear, and we stand ready to help and keep this community safe, because that's what we're all elected to do. So we thank you so much for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Thank you very much, Greg. A great group of people. We're going to go into the Oval Office. Does anybody have anything to, not even a question, a statement, as to how we can bring about law enforcement in a very good, civil, lovely way, but we have to stop crime, right? Would anybody like to make a statement? Couple of
Mr.
you?
President,
Yes, sir.
on the asset forfeiture, we've got a state senator in Texas that was talking about introducing legislation to require conviction before we could receive that forfeiture
Can
money.
you believe that?
And I told him that the cartel would build a monument to him in Mexico if he could get that legislation
Who is the state
passed.
senator? Do you want to give his name? We'll destroy his career.
Mr. President,
Thank you.
you know, we have been invited to the White House before, and we've sat at this table with the former administration. But this is totally different. Not once did the president go around the room and ask the sheriffs what were issues that were important to us, he or she, in our parts of the country, or rather it was an outgoing message about gun control, about other things. You asked us what was important to us, whether it's mental health in the jails, opioid addiction, you hit on them right off the bat. The border, immigration, vetting, we appreciate that. That has not happened before. We've been here before, but we've never had a president to sit down and listen to what it is that we're facing, representing our constituents and public safety across this country. And that's why we